I sometimes wonder, how many feminists are being tragically misunderstood? How many feminists are actually laughing at us MRAs? How many feminists are legitimately frustrated with the men's rights movement? How many of them just want us to shut up and go away? Because we're ruining it, we're spoiling it. Because we just don't get it. I really do wonder how many feminists actually have the same intentions, same goals that we have. How many of them are seriously just interested in fighting inequality, or fighting against sexism, or fighting against inconvenient, silly gender roles, or other causes like war, violence, or cancer? How many feminists really don't believe in the whole women are victims ideology? And how many of them really don't just care about women? How many of them care equally about men? How many of them think that the men's rights movement is just ridiculously naive inconvenience? So it's very possible that there are some feminists who care about both men and women, but they correctly assume that the masses only care about women. If you really want to sell a cause like getting rid of sexist double standards and gender roles, or something else like fighting against war or violence, or even a disease like cancer, you need to get other people to care about it. So it may be that many of these feminists correctly assume that the masses only care about women, but their cause really has nothing to do with women per se. So, again, they may not buy the ideology, they simply sell it. And they don't like it when other people interfere with their pitch, with their sales pitch, their propaganda. I think it's important that men's rights activists keep their mind open to this possibility. And my message to those feminists is two cliches. Okay? First one being, oh, what a wicked web we weave when first we practice to lie to everybody. And the second one being, he who pays the piper calls the song. Anyway, I'm sure you've heard those cliches dozens of times by now. Point being, you should expect people to take you at face value. If you're going to be all sneaky and winky, nudgy, nudgy, then you're just asking for someone to call you out on your BS. And you're probably not fooling as many people as you think you are. For example, Hillary Clinton with her, women are the primary victims of war. They lose their husbands, their sons, their brothers. Yeah. Well, what's the message? You could construe that as just a anti-war message. Or, when it comes to domestic violence, focusing on women as victims, it's more believable, it's easier to get people to care, it motivates people. Even with something like cancer, as ridiculous as it sounds, there are all kinds of campaigns which just emphasize women's cancers. People care about cancer, but when it's women's cancer, then they care more. It's also important to consider this possibility just because if a lot of these so-called feminists, if they're really just selling these ideas, but they're not buying them, then you can't really convert them. The only way you can convert them is to just convince them that honesty is the best policy. And, insist on the free exchange of ideas, free speech, open dialogue, being direct, being honest. I know a lot of people probably think that Big Red or Chanty Binks is a little hateful or crazy, but she might just be one of those types. She thinks that she's smarter than the masses, and that the masses need to be lied to in order to do the right thing. She thinks she's PR savvy, perhaps. It is hard to tell the difference between the posers and the real deal. Perhaps they don't need to be convinced about what they believe and what they care about, so much as what their strategy should be. Convincing them on strategy might be the better approach.